Get ready for the next card fight. Hello everybody and welcome back to another Vanguard versus. Boy, have we got ourselves a matchup for you today. It's the big bad Star-Vaders of Link Joker going up against Eradicators once again. Buckle up, this is going to be quite the matchup here. Quite long too, in case you didn't notice. As Demolition Dragon is going in for the attack. So 1 damage going over as Colony Maker enters the damage zone. So this version of Link Joker, starting Vanguard is actually Pleiades, which I will use the effect here to search top 5 for a grade 3. And don't find anything there, so go ahead and shuffle up. Omega and his Eradicators actually made a few adjustments to the deck. You're probably going to see Suiton, which if his attack hits, he'll soul charge 1 and unflip it damage. And there's also Rotation, which will gain 5,000 whenever a rearguard unit is retired by an effect. So set up the field, going to attack with Niobium. Aurora Eagle is a drive check. Critical trigger off the top will give power to Demolition Dragon. 12,000 from Radon to 12. So go ahead and take that as well. Another critical trigger off the top. So these quite few changes makes me to believe that he's going to center around retiring units due to effects. And I think it might work out for him, as you'll see later on in this matchup, as Suiton will go in for the attack. And Suiton alongside Lin Chu actually has a great synergy. He could use Lin Chu's effect to retire a grade 1 or less unit, and he'll use Suiton to unflip that damage, which is quite nice. But nothing to retire, but he'll just go ahead and soul charge anyway. Go ahead and take my turn and ride Infinite Zero Dragon alongside Aurora Eagle and another Radon on the right. So this attack is going to be for 23,000. And we'll go ahead and take this one as Niobium, the first check. Heal trigger, the second check will give power to the right side Radon. And heal up that flip damage. 12,000 is going to Suiton. He'll take that one as well. Heal trigger off the top. He'll give the power to the Vanguard. And an attack for 17,000. It's coming in. Doesn't guard that either. A second heal trigger off the top. So he'll stay at 3 damage. As Omega will take his draw. So now Thunderbreak Dragon is going to come in. Very fortunate that he got those 2 heal triggers, otherwise he would have been at 5. Or he would have been forced to guard one of those attacks, either or. So taking a look at some options. I probably realized here that I made the mistake of setting down Aurora Eagle because of Li Chu still being on the field, as Rising Phoenix enters the field. He'll soul blast 2 to draw a card. So a bit of pressure coming in here, as he's going to lay down Rotation. Of course, he's the one, again, gains 5,000 power whenever a rearguard unit is retired due to an effect, which Lin Chu is more than capable of. So this first attack is going to come in here for 16,000. And now some thinking here. You see here that I do have a Prometheum in hand, which can perfectly guard this attack. But I'm thinking that I might want to save this one for a later attack. So it's a tough decision here. So I will take this one. So draw trigger off the top. Deciding where to give the power to. The Spark Ring column is 19,000. And the Rotation column after this was going to be for 18. He's going to give the power to Rotation anyway. Second drive check is a heal trigger. And he's going to give the power to Spark Ring. He'll heal a third time. Prometheum, the damage for myself. Lynchu is going to use this effect. Retires Aurora Eagle plus 5,000 to Rochishin. So now that is a 23,000 column. And it looks like he's going to attack with that. He's going to attack the right side Radon. Don't know whether to use guard here to try and save at least one of these columns. I decided to let that one go. And this next one is going to be for 24,000, going to the left side Radon. Decided to let that one go as well. So, with just a lone Infinite Zero Dragon. Stuff to decide whether to put down rear guards to maybe bait some attacks, because he does not want to get me F4 damage just yet. And in case you don't know, Infinite Zero's Break Right ability, as I attack for 13, get to lock one front row and one rear guard unit as a draw trigger, and a Palladium are the drive checks. So he needs to be very cautious about this. So, don't know if he's going to put anything behind the Vanguard to boost his attack more. But with me sitting at 2 damage, I think it's safe to assume that he's going to, you know, try and force out another damage without trying to hit a critical. Because he really doesn't want me to go at 4 damage, especially if he's not prepared for the lock ability. So this attack is going in for 11, since I'm only at 2 damage. Thinking about guarding here because it's only 11,000, but I'm going to go ahead and take it. Suiton the first, and Kokaiji the second. Critical trigger off the top is going to give power to Infinite Zero. So now Infinite Zero is at 16,000, which means Rochishin's column of 13 isn't going to hit it, but Spark Ring in his column of 19, he'll be able to attack it. So the question is whether he wants to risk putting me at 4. And he's just gonna pass. So now, what to do here? Do I want to build up another column to try and maybe take out a rear guard? Maybe force another attack on the Vanguard? Because I do lay down Niobium as well as Palladium. Going in for an attack for 13,000. So first check is critical trigger. Critical going to the Vanguard, power to Niobium, Infinite Zero Dragon, the second check, gold, the first damage, draw trigger, the second damage, power is going to Vanguard, so that is a 16,000 power unit. This is 21,000 going to Vanguard. And he's going to guard that with a 10k critical. So Omega is going to take his turn. He's now 5, so Break Ride is now active. See what he break rides with. It's going to be Gauntlet Buster Dragon. Good choice. That'll retire Niobium. Gauntlet Buster will gain an extra 3,000 in a critical, and Rochishin is going to gain an extra 5,000 for that. So some very decent columns. Rochishin now at 18,000. Spark Ring still at 19. And he's going to retire Phoenix for another Phoenix. He'll Soul Blast 2 to draw once again. Trying to build up some hand for the eventual break ride of Infinite Zero. Now he does have that Kokaiji. He should be able to put it behind the Vanguard. I mean, it's safe to do that. Retire Phoenix for a Demolition Dragon. So now that column is going to be 23? No, 20,000. But he'll attack with the Vanguard first. 24 critical 2, that's going to get perfect guarded. First check is a critical trigger. So now choices to be made. It's going to give both of them to Rotation, Sparkling Dragon, the second check. So now Rotation is a dangerous unit. 2 critical and 2 5,000 power boosts, one from his effect and one from the trigger. That is a 25,000 power column. And he's going to attack with that first to Vanguard. Going to try and force me at 5 damage. And it's tough to say if I'm going to take this or not. If I do take this, it'll put me in limit break, but it'll be at 5 damage. So I'll go ahead and guard this one. Try and force out an attack from Sparkling Dragon. But it's doubtful that Omega will do that. And he does pass. So still stuck on 3. Look at options, see what can be done. Palladium. No, not Palladium. It's no Palladium. And another Infinite Zero Dragon. So this attack for 20,000 is going to Vanguard. And Omega is going to guard for a 2 to pass here. First check is another Infinite Zero Dragon. Second check is a Radon. So not much triggers there. 18,000 is going to go to Vanguard. And he'll guard that as well. So now Omega holding the fort. He's going to try and move in for the attack again. Probably still has that Kokaiji left in hand. He should probably lay that down in the center column. Just to get more power out there. And he does lay down Kokaiji, so he's going to be able to give a 10,000 power boost. And Omega will use Gauntlet Buster Dragon's ability to make me retire one of my units. And then he'll gain an extra 3,000 in a critical alongside Rotation, which will gain an extra 5,000. And it looks like he's going to move in for the attack. Yep, 24,000 with 2 criticals. And this is going to be for a 2 to pass. So Rising Phoenix and Zuiton, the checks. So Rotation is a 20,000 column going to Vanguard. I could easily guard this with a 10k shield, or I could just take this for my 4th damage. And I will guard for 21. I believe that was going to the rear guard. Yeah, that was to the rear guard, so forced to block there to not lose any more rear guard units. Because if I had taken that attack to rear guard, he probably would have skipped this turn, keeping me at 3 anyway. As I lay down a 3rd Infinite Zero Dragon on rear guard. So this first attack is going to be for 13,000 to Vanguard. Can't tell how many cards are in Omega's hand right now, but looks to be quite a few. And this is going to be a 2 to pass so far. Yep. First check is a Chaos Breaker Dragon. Second check is another Chaos Breaker Dragon. So drive checks not really going my way as I keep grade checking 5k shields and grade 3s. And of course that's not very helpful. So columns of 11k and 18k. Time to do some thinking because this next turn from Omega could be deadly, as this next attack for 11,000 is going to Spark Rain, so changing gears here. Try and take out rearguard support to try and make his attacks less impactful, as he'll let that one go. So this next attack for 18,000 is more likely going to Rotation's 8,000 power. And I do indeed do that, and he'll let it go. So let's see if he is able to rebuild his rear guard columns. Pretty sure he does. I mean, pretty sure he does have the capability of doing so. As he'll ride Draconic Descendant. And let's see which rear guard support he'll put down. Because he needs to keep up the pressure here. Regardless of whether I lock his units or not. He needs to do at least one rear guard column. That way, if I do go with limit break here, then he'll still be able to have at least one rear guard attack for his next turn. So, still weighing his options here. As you can see here in my hand, 3 grade 3s in hand, alongside 2 5k shields, so really hurting on guard here as he lays down Spark Rain Dragon and Zuitan. So those two will add up at least 16k columns, Spark Rain being 19, Zuitan 16. So a critical trigger here would basically be the end of me here. As he'll look to attack. And he'll attack with Descendant first with 21,000. Gauntlet Bust with the first check. Kokaiji the second. So 1 damage going through. And Lathanium is the damage. So now, at 4 damage, you might as well just attack the Vanguard to try and finish me off. He already knows that I grade check 2 grade 3s, so that's at least 2 cards that are basically useless to me at this moment. So he may just try and rush the Vanguard here. Depends on who he attacks with first. It really doesn't matter because I'll have to guard for the same amount. So this attack for 19,000 is for Vanguard. And I'll go ahead and take this one. Colony Maker is the damage. And this attack is going to be for 16,000 going to Vanguard. I'm going to have to block this one. So now, in Limit Break mode, you'll finally be able to use Infinite Zero's effect. I'm going to ride Chaos Breaker Dragon on top, locking Spark Rain and Kokaiji. And of course, Chaos Breaker Dragon will gain that extra 10,000. Because I do have a Colony Maker in hand, deciding whether or not to use her effect to maybe get another unit behind either Infinite Zero or Chaos Breaker. As I'll use Chaos Breaker Dragon's effect here to lock Zuitan. So the ever so dreaded triangle lock. Let's see if it actually pays off here. As next turn, Omega will only have Descendant to attack with. So this first attack is for 21,000. Omega will have to guard here. He's going to guard for a 2 to pass. First check is a Radon. Second check is a Prometheum. Again, no triggers. So an attack for 11,000 is going to be guarded. And this last attack for 18,000. And he'll guard for another 10. So Omega looking to survive for yet another turn. He only has Descendant to attack. He'll get 2 attacks off of this because I'll have to guard against this first one. This attack is going to be for 11,000. And I'll guard for a 2 to pass here. First check is Spark Rain. Second, draw trigger. He'll give the power to Descendant. He'll draw that card. And now he'll use his effect and discard 3 Eradicators from his hand to restand him. Luckily enough, I still have Prometheum from that last drive tech. I'll go ahead and use that here. First check. It's a critical trigger. Second is Cho-Oh, I believe. And end of turn, all locked units will unlock. Chaos Breaker Dragon will retire all of them. I'll draw a card for each of them. Build up some hand, and try and work from there. So now looking to strike back. I'm going to lay down Lathanum. I always think that there's an I in that name, but... So I'll use Chaos Breaker Dragon's effect here to lock down one of the Demolition Dragons. Which is... I don't know how I feel about that because... Lathanum, however you want to pronounce him, is only going to gain 2,000, I believe, from that. So that column for Infinite Zero Dragon is only going to be for 20,000, which doesn't make much of a difference anyway. So this attack from Chaos Breaker Dragon is only going to be for 11,000. And taking a look at trigger counts here. I believe at this point there is 12 cards left in the deck. And if I remember correctly, there are 8 triggers left in the deck. So this is a bit of a scary situation for Omega. As Omega will go ahead and confirm that trigger count. And plus, while using Chaos Breaker Dragon's effects, that's discarding one card here, which can be used for Prometheum's effect in the Guardian Circle. So he'll guard for a 2 to pass. No triggers off of that Aurora Eagle and Palladium. So a big miss right there. As I go in for the attack for 20,000. He's going to guard for 10,000 here. Nope, he's going to use a perfect guard. So an attack for 18. He'll use his last perfect guard in hand. No cards left in hand. He'll draw 1. And he'll have just enough to use Descendant's effect. As he'll move Demolition Dragon up to the front row. He'll attack for 11,000. And now, this is a bit of a tricky situation here. Because as we go through how many triggers are out there, I can tell you right now, there are 5 cards left in Omega's deck. There are 2 triggers left in that deck as well. Both of them are going to be critical triggers. So, it is very likely that he's going to hit at least one of them during this first strike check alone. So if I let it go, try and risk that 1 damage, try and risk getting that heal trigger. So if I'm going to hit a critical trigger, I'm going to end up taking 2 damage. However, if I try and guard for a 2 to pass here, then he'll definitely be standing Descendant, and he'll gain that extra critical as well. Plus, he'll more than likely give the critical and power to Demolition Dragon, so that he'll be 15,000 power critical too. So, with only 3 5k shields and a perfect guard in hand, it's very tough to maneuver around this. And if I had that extra Chaos Breaker Dragon in hand, well then, the other Demolition Dragon wouldn't have been locked anyway, and he'll more than likely move it up front anyway. So, sitting here between a rock and a hard place, as I try and think of what to ultimately do, and here, I'll decide to maybe just guard for a 2 to pass here. And just... either way, I'm probably going to lose this one. Demolition Dragon for the first check, critical trigger for the second. So basically, all Omega has to do is just give the power and critical to Demolition Dragon, and then he'll be able to stand Ascendant, and he'll attack again for 11,000. Because he knows that I do have a perfect guard left in hand, and there are only 2 cards left. So I can only guard 1 attack for the rest of this turn. So, you know, that's all he has to do. Just to give the power and critical to Demolition Dragon. But Omega's... don't know why he is so unsure of this. I mean, sometimes he thinks a bit too hard, but, you know, you can never be too careful around these Link Jokers. I mean, they can be up and beat you down out of nowhere. I guess with just any deck, they can beat you up out of nowhere. But especially with a deck that you're kind of unknown with. You want to be careful of the circumstances. But here, you know, this is an easy solution. And he does eventually figure it out. He'll give both power and critical to Demolition Dragon. He'll discard 3. He'll restand Ascendant. And he'll attack once again. This time with 2 criticals. And here, I'll just go ahead and take this one here. First check is Falling Sword. Second is the last critical trigger. So that's 3 damage. But the first one is enough anyway. So 8 triggers left in the deck out of 10 as I show you all of that. But still, that was a very interesting match, a long one at that. You know, if this was at any other tournament, we were probably going to get call time for that. But, you know, it was still fun, and, you know, it was a really good game overall. So thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe for more Vanguard Versus in the future. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.